News with Gina.
The News with Gina Grad.
Well, some bad news for Luke Perry. We reported a few days ago that, he had this stroke and they were watching him. Well, he's been placed in a medically induced coma, according to TMZ. Sources say he was responsive when paramedics arrived at his home, but his condition quickly deteriorated. Beverly Hills 90210 and Riverdale star Luke Perry had really suffered this on Wednesday, but still an issue. TMZ reports that paramedics responded to his home in Sherman Oaks, California, and that he's in a local hospital. Hopefully that'll be updating, as we
we should point out to recording this on a Friday,
right?
Too,
but
by the time people hear this,
exactly that was kind of my.
Who called the paramedic?
I don't know.
Because you have to think, if you have a large stroke, then you probably are not the one doing the calling.
Probably
it would be almost impossible
if you're just in your bathroom alone and you die, right? Or
I don't know that much about strokes. I don't know how
you could have been with
you.
somebody, of course.
Yeah, somebody. Hopefully, I mean, I guess what I'm getting at is if he's alone in his house, he may never come out of his house alive. Somebody has to find him and call 911. Although I'd be kind of curious about it because I don't know if he crawls to the phone and calls it. I don't know if he's in that good a shape that he can. Do that?
Because from the limited knowledge I have of strokes, it can very much affect your speech. Mm-hmm. So you really can't even speak at that point. So I don't know.
Is he married? Does he live with somebody? Does he have a kid?
Wasn't he out here for something for a show?
Riverdale.
Yeah, there you go.
But he's out for at his house. So I don't know. I'm curious. But anyway, we wish him luck. And I'm assuming somebody called 911. No. I mean, not him.
It would make sense.
Someone he lived with. All right.
Well, Michael Jackson's accuser in the documentary Leaving Neverland shared their stories of abuse on Thursday on CBS This Morning.
Can we, I've been saying this for a long time, but now more than ever. Whether you're the guy who's accusing Jacko of dropping a digit on you, or you're the governor of Virginia, and you're like, I'm not neither one of those. I'm not the Klan guy or the black guy. We just get my ultimate lie detector thing, and we just pass everyone through it. I've been saying for a million years, I started hearing about functional MRIs, and this would be a world. This essentially. Like nations come together to work on a space program or something Japan is involved with this and America is involved with that. And we launch it from Brazil and blah, 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 blah. We just do that on a global lie detector thing. We get Germany and Japan involved here, and we put our greatest minds together with theirs. We just have a thing, and it becomes a standard.
I was going to say, open your minds for a second. Do you think hundreds of years from now, people look back on our generations and be like, "Oh, they didn't have lied, they didn't know people were lying. They just tiptoed their word." Or you know what I mean? It'll seem weird that we couldn't. Now we have DNA, and it's like, oh yeah, his blood was there. We can tell it was him.
Well, it used to be so much easier.
That's mystical, fantasy land stuff. 100 years ago,
right? It was so much easier 100 years ago because you could just throw someone in the water and see if they floated, or if they burned, or anything.
And also, it'll be one of those. It's one of those things where you have this super lie detector, and you're whomever. You're OJ. You're the governor of Virginia. You're the guy with claims Michael Jackson. We just go, we open your yearbook. There's a black guy and a Klansman. Yeah, I'm not either one of those guys. Oh, good. Come here. Let me strap this helmet on you. It looks like a spaghetti colander. We're just going to put on your head with a chin strap. That guy would immediately go, all right, forget it. Sorry. It would just be a deterrent.
The Klansman. Okay, I heard you wrong.
Yeah, it'd just be a deterrent.
Yeah.
I'm into this because everything is wildly unsatisfying all the way across the board with everything all the time.
You know what your theme seems to be?
That's my life.
The next book.
Your theme.
Well, I mean, we live in this world where it's like, OJ, he probably had to have done it, but we'll never really,
Well, we'll know.
Your theme seems to be this this orderly dystopian society between
Thank you.
putting the dog in the paper shredder or whatever the hell you throw
Air
into the,
cannon to
Thank you.
test metallurgy against bird strikes.
What's hard to understand about that?
Or this, and God forbid this gets into the hands of North Korea or somebody who, God forbid, it lights up in the wrong hemisphere of your brain. You're going to literally to the dogs.
Oh, yeah. Like, have you been reading Mad Magazine?
Exactly.
Like, no.
Oh, I know what that is.
Do you know what Facebook is? Yeah. So Wade Robson and James Safechuck, they spoke to Gayle King about being drawn into Jackson's intimate world at ages 10 and ages 7. And now a father of a boy, Robson says he's had to come forward because he imagined, what if this happened to his own son? Robson also regretted the testimony he gave at Jackson's trial in 93 and 2005 when he was a witness to the defense. The first case was settled out of court. Jackson was found not guilty. In the second, he claims he was trained by Jackson to lie and deny suggestions that they had sexual relations. Here's a clip.
Let me say this. I was, we have to stop and count your blessings. Like, it's easy for me and Brian to sit here and go, well, puberty never really kicked in enough for us to get to the next level.
If only.
So poor us. But you have to also stop and think about things you're lucky for and, blessings.
Can't think of any of it.
Not enjoying a rub and tug. Not lusting after 9-year-olds. Not needing to beat off in potted plants in front of up-and-coming comedians.
Sure.
These are all incredible blessings.
Yeah.
These are blessings.
Hidden 14-year-old girls.
Hidden though they may be.
Yeah.
These are blessings because when you have a hankering for 9-year-old boys, or you just need to be with a new gal every town you land, these are pretty strong urges.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I was having a thought. I was watching Abducted in Plain Sight, and I was thinking that what a tortured existence it must be to be attracted to 12-year-old girls, 13-year-old boys, whatever it is, because you're a dude and you have dude horniness, which is quite a motivator, and yet this thing that you're into is just completely off the table, 180 degrees off the table.
I know, it's like being married.
Yeah, it's a nightmarish existence.
So, so your life is ruined. And so if you're Kevin Spacey, you're ruined. If you're Weinstein, it's ruined. If you're Jacko, it's ruined. It's ruined. Yeah. It's all ruined. I don't know, Robert Kraft or whoever, because you like this thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And when you like this thing, you like this thing.
You don't dabble.
Well, it's like if somebody somebody was a smoker and they traveled and they landed in Tampa and they didn't have their cigarettes, they'd go find a liquor store and go buy a pack of cigarettes. They wouldn't go, well, I guess I'm not smoking for the next 4 days before I get, I got my cigarettes, they're in my car back at LAX. I'll smoke them then.
Oh, well.
No, you got to go. You got to go.
Yeah.
And this is a compulsion.
Yeah.
And I would argue, as I have always argued, this sort of, the further you get off of missionary position, the further you get away from missionary position, and if you start getting into kids or animals or whatever it is, the more the drive, because it is harder, it's further, it's weirder, and I think the compulsion, because now it's like, I will say this. For the regular heterosexual dude, you go, or gay dude, you go, well, I like sex with another. But it's not a compulsion. It's a sort of a
preference.
This is it's not even this is how we're born. This is how nature made people have sex with other people. But when you go 9-year-olds, now we're starting to get into another realm, which involves the sexual part, but also involves the lusting, the compulsion, compulsion part of it, the stuff that makes you do these things. So now it's a kind of a broth of this, and I think these guys are pushed harder. Look, hey, it's great to have sex with chicks, but if you go out of town for 3 days and come back, you don't have to have sex with a chick. You don't have like this strong, I like it, but I'm not compelled.
Yeah.
The guys, I've known I know a couple of rub and tug dudes. They go out of town.
They got to find the place.
They go find that place.
Go to Yelp.
Yeah, it's kind of
their thing.
It's part of the drive.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Brian, at some point, I hope we discuss that documentary because I have a lot of thoughts.
It's absurd.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But also, I don't think we did this.
Hold on, is it all rub and tug, or is there such a thing as a rub and suck?
I'm sure you could.
I would imagine
for an extra. Extra $10.
Chris?
All right, Matt, see if there's an app for that then. Because the tug's not going to cut it.
Right.
Get on Open Table.
There was a story that came out, I don't know, a year ago or something, but I don't think we did it because it's too disturbing. But the controversy behind the production of like sex dolls, but they're the size of children.
Oh, no.
So if a pedophile is like, hey, what would you prefer I do? No. And I don't think it was out of America. So this is a very weird topic.
Well,
nobody
Brian,
likes
we
it.
could be using them to train pit bulls at the airport.
The
dolls have to be all bad. Yes. Whoa, no, the pedophiles.
Oh, okay, you're right. That was way off.
You're way off, dude. Yeah, you were.
So anyway.
Hell off.
Well, I don't know. So hold on. So we don't like this.
No.
But
we'll everyone weigh in.
You're for the clean needle exchanges.
Yeah, I'm not weighing in. I'm just saying this was the controversy.
Right. So it's kind of like, well, they're going to do this. Might as well give them clean needles if they're going to do it anyway.
Give them an inanimate object and not my child.
Here's why I don't see. We are approaching this like a non-predator. Like I really feel like the notion of saying, "Oh, look, here's a miniature 7-year-old doll. Now just have your jollies with that, and then you can stay away from the neighborhood kid." I think that's not part of it. I think the element of it is the allure of the forbidden, or the what. There's a component to it that far exceeds a sexual.
Your Cabbage Patch Kid isn't going to work.
Component, yeah. So I don't think it's going to satiate that part.
Here's the devil's bargain I'd be willing to make. You can have the 7-year-old doll. You can have a Butcher Box subscription. It comes every month. You go on a list. You're on in exchange for the doll. You're on the list. And we follow you. We track you. We tag you. We gotta know where you are at all times. You get too close to a school, the light goes off. That's the bargain I'm willing to make.
All right.
Brian's willing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, I'm willing to dive in.
All right. So anyway, this is just a clip of them talking about if Jackson was still alive, would they still be coming forward to tell these stories? First it's Wade, and then it's James.
If Michael was still alive and all of the other rest of the details of my life were the same, meaning I became a father, right? And I went through the same process that I did of this realization and going through the healing process. My belief is that we'd still be doing this. Of course, some details may be different.
James?
I don't know. Would I have taken this to my grave? I certainly planned on doing that.
In the documentary, you said you planned on taking it to your grave.
Right, so I had no expectations of ever telling anyone. So, if he was still alive, I don't know. Maybe I would have taken it to my grave.
Boy, I got to tell you, hush money, non-disclosure agreements, and taking it to your grave isn't what it used to be.
It's a lost art.
Rarely roll cameras on the taking it to your grave proclamations or have press conferences when you've... Why am I holding this press conference? Because I was paid hush money!
I don't think you know what that phrase means.
Yeah. Can I just talk into the mics, or should I use my bullhorn to yell into the mics? Yeah. It's not what it used to be,
No.
those three things.
That's true.
But again, I am always looking. See, what I still have not found out is what are we talking about? Are we talking about Mike being weird and cuddling, or remember in Wedding Crashers where they wanted to take their
tummy sticks
and rub them together? Is there some sort of...
You're a homo.
Are there weird tummy sticks thing, or are we talking about out and out sodomy or rape? You know what I mean? Like, what are we... And people go... The people say to me, like, oh, who cares? No, I make distinctions in sort of the emotional scarring department.
Yeah.
I would like to know what the difference is. I'd like to know if it was... Because... Michael Jackson always gets portrayed as a weirdo, and like he wanted to give them Jesus juice, and they wanted to cuddle and tummy sticks and run around in their underwear and stuff like that. But what Harvey Weinstein did was something. It's like he did this thing. You know what I mean? Like there's not a lot of gray area with like Weinstein, at least what he did or what he wanted to do. Bill Cosby, what he did. There's that, and then there's like there's the Jacko part where I never really know what exactly we're talking about. Does anyone ever drill down on what physically happened in the weird bed?
Well, that's the weird mystery that continues to shroud this story, because these are the same kids who basically went on record and said it didn't happen. So now they're saying, well, I was a kid and I was told to say it didn't happen. So they're still trying to be sussed out. Now, remember what Miss Maybelline said with the eyeliner, the maid.
Right. Well, all right, so I don't know if there's any of this, but can Gail, is that Gail?
Gail King, yeah.
Gail King. When you're doing an interview, are you allowed to go, what are we talking about here? What do we, look, if this is a man if this is a man and woman, did he force a kiss, an unwanted kiss on you, or did he penetrate you?
Like did he touch you?
When they sat down with Cosby's accuser, she basically just laid out exactly what happened physically.
Right.
And I don't need to know all the details because I need to know all the details. I just kind of want to figure out whether this person was brutally attacked sexually or it was a weird tummy sticky Jocko thing.
Right.
I'll let you look at that.
I know that there was a quote. Here's a quote for you. Just Google this. This is the first thing that came up from Deadline.com. This is from Wade Robson, to Gail King. It says, Michael started to touch my legs and my crotch over my pants. It progressed to him performing oral sex on me and showing me how to perform oral sex on him.
Well, that's something.
Yeah, but still.
Well, there you go.
And at some point he says, this is how... Oh, I love this person and we're trying to make each other happy was some of the wording used, according to Robson.
Oh, boy.
He always gets portrayed as a weirdo.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Yeah. Why aren't there more, like with Mary Kay, why aren't there more lawsuits against the staff who were clearly there, invisible, and knew that something was very wrong?
It feels like she's there for the aftermath.
Well, but there's staff
against
everywhere.
The staff?
Yeah.
I got money. But I have $20 million.
Right.
Empty bags. The Guatemalan chick who's there to clean up the underpants that are spot welded together. She lives in an apartment in Sherman Oaks.
Right.
That all suing is who's got the money.
Right.
That's how it works. So in this particular case, there's really Michael Jackson, and then there's the gardener, the maid, and the rest of the folks who have nothing.
Yeah.
So no one will get sued. All right, what else we got, Gina Grant?
Well, a fire department in California recently posted photos showing what happens when you park your car in front of a hydrant and there's a fire nearby. Anaheim Fire and Rescue.
They love it, man. It's right out of Backdraft.
They made it very clear that when they need to hook up their hydrant, they'll do whatever they have to do. That includes breaking both of your car windows and running the hose through the backseat of your car. This is great. The tweet reads, ever wonder what happens when a car is parked in front of a fire hydrant and a fire breaks out?
Right.
Is a closer parking spot worth the broken windows and citation and towing fees?
You want to talk about a message being sent? They just got a cat out of a tree.
Let that be a lesson.
Let that be a lesson.
It comes with a warning to never park in fire lanes and always be aware of where you're parking.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. It's a great picture.
Yeah, they just bust out. They 100% did that whole scene in Backdraft. You forget about that movie. It had all those sort of tropes, where like they jump into the car and they take the cassette and they pop in Heat Wave, and all of a sudden it takes over the whole movie and they're all just talking and busting chops. It's very
it's young Ron Howard, I think.
Yeah,
it's Ron Howard.
Yeah, and it's just very kind of right there.
Yeah.
It's no subtlety, no innuendo, just everything in your face. And they come across the Mercedes that's blocking the fire hydrant. Well, it's like, hey, you could have easily gone around it, but either way, we're busting it out. They also have that scene where people write it down. Like, there's scenes that are written that could never happen. Like,
fire plug.
Young young Baldwin.
Mm-hmm.
Billy?
Was it Adam Baldwin?
No.
There's an Adam Baldwin?
No, this is Billy.
Okay, he was hot.
Billy Baldwin.
Okay.
Young Billy
Sliver.
Baldwin.
From Sliver, right?
Yeah.
Oh, there's Daniel, Alec, Steve.
Young Billy Baldwin, like they're in the clothing outlet, and the whole place is on fire. And at a certain point, there's a chick, one left to rescue, and he grabs her and he throws it over his shoulder like fireman style. And he comes out and comes down the stairs and he gets her to safety. And the reporters are taking pictures and the flash bulbs are going off. He's a hero, and he throws her down. Oh, it's a mannequin.
Oh.
What are the chances you'd pick up a mannequin and travel a good distance with that mannequin over your shoulder and downstairs and everything?
Realize it.
They have no idea it was not a human being.
Not fleshy in any way.
By the way, if that's your wiring, maybe you're in the wrong sport.
Yeah.
Like, maybe we don't need you.
You should probably dress mannequins, make them look very lifelike.
Yeah, like
you can't tell the difference.
You come into my kid's room and you're leaving with a throw rug over your shoulder. I'm like, that's not my boy, huh?
He's very soft. Matches the room.
It's one of those things where you write it and you go, "Oh, this is going to be funny." Oh, he's out of breath. He throws it down. It's a big deal. His partner's going to bust his chops. It's like, but what are the chances you throw? I understand. I could see you spotting a mannequin in the distance in the fire zone, but the part where you throw it over your shoulder,
close enough to throw
and you're
it.
carrying it down the stairs.
This is real waxy.
The weight of a mannequin and a full-grown, it's got to be 100 pounds difference between a mannequin and a woman.
And some texture differences, I would imagine.
Possibly some joint differences as well.
All her limbs came off by the time I got downstairs.
I have you know, there is an Adam Baldwin, not related to the Baldwin brothers, but he was in Full Metal Jacket. He was Animal Mother. He was the sort of, very aggressive alpha male.
Oh, really? So there's an actor.
How many Baldwins are there?
4?
Alec, Billy, Stephen,
brothers.
and
Daniel.
Okay. Thank you for that. Which one's the father of the Bieber's wife?
Haley
Okay,
Baldwin.
gotcha. Thank you. Okay. So we talked about this the other day, and it is in the news. Fox News reports that the parents of American college student Otto Warmbier, who died after his detention in North Korea, on Friday countered President Trump's suggestion that Kim Jong-un was not aware of their son's treatment. The president drew bipartisan criticism for saying when they were in Hanoi that he takes Kim at his word, that he had no idea. Fred and Cindy Warmbier released
Yes, I have to correct myself here because he did come out, and then somewhere between the show and when he didn't. Brian was right. He shouldn't have done that.
I just seen more recent information.
Yes.
Yeah. So this was the statement they released. They said, "We have been respectful during the summit process. We now must speak out. Kim and his evil regime are responsible for the death of our son, Otto. Kim and his evil regime are responsible for unimaginable cruelty and inhumanity. No excuses or lavish praise can change that."
Can anybody assassinate anyone anymore? It's such a weird thing.
Okay. Let me ask you this, and I've thought about this. What's the threshold between murder and assassination? You have to be someone of note.
You have to be a political figure, right?
Or I guess you can assassinate a king. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like someone of rank, someone of importance. Like you don't assassinate Otto Warmbier. You murder, right? You murder.
No,
him.
I'm saying I don't want to assassinate him.
Instead
he was murdered. He's a high school kid. He was not assassinated. I'm talking about Kim Jong.
Oh,
sorry.
I thought you were like the old grumpy old man. Can't anyone assassinate anyone anymore?
No. Well, I mean it. These guys have these like. I don't know. Fidel Castro had a 57-year run. Did somebody can't poison one of his cigars or something? Like, it's a long time to run you slowly ran an island into the ground for 55 years. Is there nobody?
No one stepped up?
Well,
poison pen?
Hitler put together a good 7-year run, but people did try to slide a bomb under his table, and Tom Cruise tried to blow him up and stuff.
The movie theater and Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah,
they tried.
It's a true story.
There was a few. Most of the time when somebody puts together a pretty bad run, somebody makes some kind of attempt at something, or even not. Like, we'll go after Lincoln or Kennedy or Bobby or whoever. What happened all... I mean, I know it's been stepped up, the security a little bit.
Well, but I know nothing about this. I'm not wearing a tinfoil hat. I'm just saying it kind of makes you wonder who would want him assassinated and who wouldn't. If that was helpful for the United States, then we wouldn't assassinate. We wouldn't try to do that.
I don't mean us. I'm just
Anybody.
I'm just saying like a countryman. Like, can so you have this large populace, right? And most of them are sort of brainwashed. But doesn't there have to be a very small percentage who are like, this guy's nuts and he needs to die? Like, or if one of us dies in the process of him dying, like, I'm confused because, I would think that I would assume, and look, I'm sure there have been attempts. I'm sure there were Fidel Castro attempts. I mean, we did Bay of Pigs, but I'm saying you'd think that it would happen when you start looking at all of these guys and all of their runs and how some of these things go 25 to 50 years and how murderous and horrific these guys are and how lavish their life is and how horrible all the countrymen's life is. At some point, somebody would get to them. Like some guy would just load up an explosive vest, get on a moped, and just literally ram the motorcade. Like something. It's weird that it doesn't happen, or you don't see it. I mean, you go through these Saddam Husseins and all these guys, and they just keep going and going and going, and I'm confused. And also the weaponry. Back in the day, you had to build a trebuchet or something. Like, we have pretty good rifles that work at a pretty good distance that are pretty. Yeah. There's a lot of them out there. Yeah. It's weird.
Let me ask, okay, lightning round. Just yes or no answers out of you guys, because I'm trying to drill down on what constitutes an assassination versus what constitutes a murder. Was Gianni Versace assassinated?
I don't think so.
No, that's murder.
The TV show was called The Assassination of Gianni Versace.
I know, but
was Tupac assassinated?
No, I don't.
No, I think people do that.
Was Osama bin Laden assassinated?
Yes, right. If you're leading a
I think they say assassination about rappers and designers and things like that, and they shouldn't. I think you have to be running a nation,
I think so. Okay.
or you could be in the cabinet. Now, assassination.
He was neither, but he was clearly a leader.
Well, if you want to get into some gray assassination area, I would say Bengali. Wait a minute.
Benghazi?
Benghazi. Sorry, Benghazi. That's a leader. I mean, it's a diplomat.
It's a diplomat,
and he's burned in a fire, and he's killed, whatever. So that's assassination, but it's on foreign soil, but it's not, you know what I mean? That's a little more Benghazi's a little more of that.
The definitions are, it has to be a prominent person for either political, religious, or to a lesser extent, monetary reasons.
Lesser extent?
Bezos?
Yeah, because I'm seeing more political and religious reasons.
Yeah, I think you do it when you're making a special just to give it a little gravitas. Okay. Yeah. Right. Fidel Castro survived over 600 assassination attempts.
Damn.
Yeah, there's actually a British documentary in 2006 called 638 Ways to Kill Castro. I mean, he's been plotted to kill. People have been plotting to kill him in a variety of ways. Poisoning. They dosed his dive suit with fatal botulism. Tried blowing him up during a speech, and he used to do interviews and like kind of make fun of it, saying that if surviving assassination attempts were an Olympic event, I would win the gold medal.
Oh, there you go.
All right. I'm going to change my tune and say, get your shit together. Like, A is not for effort anymore. You got to do a little better job.
Yeah, dial it in.
Now, is this the same guy trying to kill him?
No, this is.
Look it up.
Many
you don't know. You don't know. Do you know?
Yeah.
You don't know.
Okay.
Can you prove it?
Can you prove it? Look it up.
All right.
All right, Gina. What else we got?
Well, PG&E, that's Pacific Gas and Electric, is to blame for last year's deadly fire called the Camp Fire in California, even according to PG&E. In a press release issued Thursday, the utility company...
It's crazy they're still in business.
Well,
after all this.
Well, with all that competition.
That's a good point.
They acknowledge that its equipment will likely be found at fault. The admission is aimed at investors to warn them of the likely at least $10 billion in charges related to the wildfire. The fire killed 86 people, destroyed at least 14,000 homes last November. It was the biggest natural disaster of 2018 and the deadliest wildfire in a century. I mean, I don't know that they had a choice but to get out in front of it. It's going to come out anyway.
Saw a thing that said, well, if there's a fire, you always want to get out in front. Mm-hmm. I saw a thing today. I think it was talk about fire and ice, like the great Pat Benatar would sing about. All the fires, and February first February in 131 years, 137 years. Can't figure it out. Anyway, 131 years, I think. Somebody tweeted me today. In Los Angeles that did not get above 70 on one day.
Wow.
Yeah.
First time. Oh, in 130. I'm always impressed. It's so funny because like you can barely find pictures of your Nana, but we have records going back 150 years to the temperature.
Yep.
That's the only thing we have records of is the temperature. But yeah, I think it was like 131 years in Los Angeles has not gotten above 70 degrees, which it's neither here nor there. It just is, and it's bound to happen. But it's weird that we had fire, and now this. All right, let's keep that pool crispy for the ace man. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, we're talking a little about cars, and I don't know if this is something that your Lynette's car features or not, but Tesla has added 2 new features aimed at keeping people from smashing the windows of its cars. The first is a sentry mode that uses cameras mounted around the vehicle to monitor the area around it. If it senses someone leaning on the car, it displays a message on that little infotainment screen saying they're being watched and recorded. If they don't get the hint, it switches to a full alarm and the radio and the lights, and it goes crazy. The second one is dog mode.
Well,
so
I have an exotic idea. How about not being able to drive it when Gabe puts the goddamn key on the front tire mode?
Yeah,
that's a crazy idea.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
That's crazy because I've noticed now that like when the key is in Christy's purse and it's in the back seat, like next to Tessa, we can't start the car. It's like pull your purse up 18 inches.
She's driving a...
No, it's either in my car or hers. I noticed in my car was a 2019 X3.
Yeah, you'd think they'd have a mode that the key was on the outside of the car. Or Gabe could have a mode where he sent me a goddamn text and said, I put your key on the outside of your car. That would have been awesome.
Yeah. But then we wouldn't know. We wouldn't have this piece of trivia.
The thing that I'm always dumbfounded by with people, I say it all the time, like the amount of people are like, I went to the Home Depot. I didn't know if you wanted the pan head screws or the flathead screws, so I just got the pan head. I was like, would you just call? Just call. Just send a text. Just send an email. Just use your phone. Gabe could have just went key on the whatever and sent it.
Luke Perry did it when he was dying.
I know. It's a zero thing.
Yeah.
It's weird that many of us don't take advantage of that technology. Anyway, sorry.
So dog mode is meant to be used when you leave your pets in the car for a short time. That's all they're recommending is a short time. They'll keep the climate controlled.
Screw them.
But also there's a note that comes up on the screen saying that your dog is fine and please don't break our windows.
They're just beating off into a ceiling fan. Anyone who has a Tesla doesn't. These aren't people. These people are head on a swivel when it comes to their dog. Believe me. I live in a Tesla neighborhood. I've walked Phil 2 times. 2 times I had women pull over and ask if he needed water. There's a hydration thing that kicks in with dogs and chicks at some point. Like Lynette comes if you had the list of like things Lynette announces when she comes through the door, not when is this going to be done or how come the trash cans are out or who left the hamper, whatever, or where's the homework. Number 1 with a bullet is Phil has no water. Phil has no water. It's like it's an insane hydration. There's a dog. There's something that happens to women when they pass 40 that some insane canine hydration syndrome. Well, I can write that down.
I can only imagine what Gina's going to be like when she passes 40 because the harshest I've ever felt judged by Gina was when she asked innocently, how often do you give Charlie new water? I was like, every 3 days.
That was insane. New water every 3 days?
I have restless cock syndrome. I will admit that. But women suffer from canine hydration dysphoria.
It'll get murky.
Like it's an insane... Lynette's never asked me to do a thing.
He's a wolf.
The only time she gets like, hey, you need to listen to me is about Phil and his water.
Yeah.
Now, by the way, Phil's laying in air conditioning and is just asleep on a sofa right now somewhere. But it's like, he's got to have water. That water was low. Like,
he's going to go into kidney failure.
Women pulling over on the side of the road and holding out bottles of water. Not for me, for the dog. There's something goes on in a woman.
Would now be a good time to mention that when I go hiking and I see somebody with a dog that's panting, I say, do you want some water from my water bottle?
There's a hydration.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
obsession.
It's a good instinct.
Usually
It's a
told to
disorder.
F off because
It's a disorder.
It's suggesting they don't know how to take care of their dog.
It's a referendum.
Yeah.
It's a disorder. It's a disorder.
Born from love.
CHS.
Well, what is it?
Canine.
Hydration. Oh, disorder.
Disorder, yeah.
Wait, isn't it K9?
I think it's a C.
No, K9 is with a C. There's dark days.
Well, they put K9 on the
Yes,
side of
yes.
the cop car.
Yes, they
It's
do.
shorter.
Yes, that's like abbreviation.
I thought it was a tooth. I thought it was the.
It comes from the Latin canis.
Oh, well, there you go.
CANINE.
I thought. All right. Well, cop cars say K,
They sure do.
and they say 9. I don't
These
know.
are dark days.
Why these dark days? They say K9 on the side of a cop car. Why not write the whole thing?
K9, the letters K and the number 9 usually refer to a police dog. That's what.
Oh.
Right. Canine.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
they
Oh,
use it
K9
for
unit.
police dogs, but K9 as a dog is
Okay.
K9.
All right. Well, look.
Now we all learned
on
something.
the side of a car. It's not like I made it up. I've read
Not
it.
since fail.
Hold on a second.
Filth. I forgot about filth.
I have seen the word canine written almost 0 times, but
Sure,
I have
I
seen
believe that.
canine on the
Yeah.
side of a cop
That
car
makes sense.
1,000
Yeah.
times. So, in terms of my brain, since I've never read it or spelled it
Right.
and only seen it on the side of a cop car, it
We get
started
it.
with a K.
Okay.
All right. Canine. It's also ka and ka, right?
Meaning the hard C, the hard K. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right.
Makes it a little,
Yeah.
looks a little murkier. All right. What else?
All right. Well, it took complaints from parents, staffers, and the ACLU, but a Wisconsin high school will stop giving out sexually inappropriate awards to cheerleaders. Tremper High School holds an annual award ceremony for its cheerleading squad. And in addition to the regular awards like hardest worker, coaches also give awards for big booty and big boobies. According to the ACLU, no, Brian, the principal of the school investigated the practice
According
last
to
year.
ACLU?
Yeah, they got involved, found nothing wrong. But later in the school year,
Wait, what side? Shouldn't the ACLU be on the side of the school? Are they?
Well, it says, according to the ACLU, the principal of the school investigated the practice last year and found nothing wrong. But later in the school year, Human Resources demanded the coach apologize and resign. I would think that the ACLU would be on the side of the cheerleaders that don't want that award, that don't want that to be part of the ceremony.
Do they want? Is that? Or do they not want that?
Yeah,
The ACLU wants the elimination of those awards.
right. But are you talking about
Yeah,
the,
I'm
what
saying, but the
student?
ACLU sort of traditionally is sort of like, hey, let the Klan march. Like that's what the ACLU does. They protect the stuff
yeah.
that's not popular, like the coach. Traditionally, the ACLU would protect the coach
That makes sense.
and his right to do this thing that's unpopular. You know what I mean? They're not. They've turned
Yeah,
into more
right.
social crusaders,
Yeah.
but they used to be.
I don't think they're on the side of the school.
Let the Klan march,
Right. But
or let whoever, let the Black Panthers march. They would take unpopular positions. So, like when I was in, so it'd be interesting. But the ACLU would. 25 years ago, would be like, well, the Klan wants to march to Indiana, and they'd go,
It's
we'll
their civil
defend the
liberty.
Klan.
Different era, man.
Yeah.
They would not be on that side today.
It's weird because I think.
I think they exclusively take up liberal, progressive causes.
the thing about like the Sierra Club and all these groups, they all sort of ended up going down that road, which is a departure from what their original was. But they used to defend Nazis and stuff like that. Or Max Pat will tell us.
I don't know.
times are changing.
Oh yeah, that's how they kind of made their bones. But that was their whole thing. It's like they were like Mark Garrigus, like what they
Nazis?
cover in popular
Pure evil.
cases. Yeah.
No, in my adult consciousness, I always associate them with super liberal causes.
Well, in a way, in a weird way, defending
Progressive, I guess.
Yeah, progressive. So defending the Klan is super liberal in a weird way,
Right.
which is they have they have the right to organize and have the right to
Right.
display or demonstrate or whatever it is.
But it's completely upside down now, and it doesn't work that way. Because when you think of hate speech online and freedom of speech, I mean, that's not the progressive group saying, why
Right.
can't I say what I want and hate people online?
Right. Most of ACLU and like Sierra Club and all these groups that just started off, and even like PETA and stuff like that, they all start off as like, let's protect animals, let's protect trees, let's protect people's right to march or speak their mind. They all took some kind of hard progressive left, and now they're all woke, which is weird, but I guess that's where everything goes eventually. Yes, Max Bada.
That's where we are now.
Yeah, so they have been criticized a lot in legal cases when they represented individual organizations that promote offensive or unpopular viewpoints, like the KKK, neo-Nazis, Nation of Islam, North American Man Boy Love Association.
NAMBLA!
Boy, forgot about that.
Yeah.
Westboro Baptist
tell Matt
Church.
I got to renew.
Yeah, and Unite the Right rally. So because they're defending free speech, so they say even though
I'm not asking whether they ever did it. I'm saying they used to do the Klan. I don't think they do the Klan anymore, is what I'm saying.
Fairly unpopular.
Yeah,
but they would do Nazis and Klansmen and all that kind of stuff. So for me, the essence of the ACLU would be protect the teacher because he has a right to express his whatever. That's what they sort of used to be. Now, I don't know. Are the
big
girls...
boobies award to children.
No, Gina, don't be uptight. No one gives a shit about this.
Don't be smirching.
We had like biggest flirt and stuff. Did you guys have high school
That's
where like
not the same thing.
biggest flirt and stuff like that?
Biggest
hottest
flirt
body
is the same as biggest boobs in high school?
or booty? Yeah, I don't know.
Not this. I'm sorry.
I'm saying it's the same. But you
said
said we had flirt, we had physique, we had body, like hottest body.
Halfway in between.
Hottest body.
We had best
Kansas.
body.
Well, we still teach creationism in Kansas, so hottest body didn't get to.
We
high
had
school.
hottest body in junior high.
No way. We would
yeah.
never. It was funniest class clown, most likely to.
We did that, and then you kept going, and you got to tightest snatch.
You're right. I'm being totally uptight.
Milfiest.
No, look. I don't want to embarrass somebody.
Right.
And my thing is if we want to play this game and everyone has agreed to play the game, then we should be able to play the game. I don't want the man to shut that down.
Understood.
If you're like pulling somebody out and embarrassing that person who's self-conscious about whatever, but let's do this. Let me say this. You're not going down the hallway and snatching people out of the hall, like the girl who's holding the books in front of her breast.
Right.
You are taking cheerleaders, and cheerleaders have decided volitionally to sign up, put on a skirt, stand in front of a large group of people, kick their legs over their head, and essentially put themselves on display.
Gotcha. But I think there's a detail here that is being glossed over. The kids weren't giving this award to each other. The coaches were handing out these awards.
A little weird.
That's all I'm saying.
All right. I'm still saying this kind of activity is fine as long as everyone is okay with it. And if the girls think it's funny, then the girls think it's funny.
I don't think the girls think it's funny anymore.
They don't. Well, one doesn't. No, I bet no one gives a shit except for one person.
Maybe.
I don't think it's all the girl. How could you keep it going? Like, how long has it kept going?
I would imagine my prediction is that, say you started cheerleading when you were a sophomore and now you're a senior and you keep getting this award every year and it's making you feel incredibly self-conscious. I could see that happening. I could see that being the same one or two people.
You signed up. I also have this feeling, too, which is you signed up to be a cheerleader. You're going to be in front of people. You're going to be dressed in this thing and you're going to be jumping up and down.
Okay.
Like, it is
I get that. So what if it was a wrestling banquet at the end of the year and the coaches, because all you guys have your unitards on, you shower together.
Or singlets.
Most micro penises and,
biggest hog.
That award is mine.
I'll take I don't know a guy would turn down biggest hog. No.
Not biggest hog.
Well, it would have to be a pejorative. And I don't know. I'm guessing the big booty or the big rack is not considered a pejorative.
It's not an official award.
Micro penis is kind of a no.
Somebody could have
a pejorative,
Smallest flaccid penis.
It's a kind of a thing where you have to look. At the end of the day,
girl, we're not sure.
I like people to have fun. I like people to have some fun. I think that the coach, the spirit of it is probably fun.
Right.
I'm guessing that many of the recipients in the past probably had fun with it. And I just don't want to live in a sterilized world where, like, the guy on the elevator says third floor lingerie, he's got to lose his job. This is a little grayer.
Yeah, that's not the same, 'cause I agree with you.
You're presuming, though, that whoever won is humiliated.
Well, I would think you would have to presume that, wouldn't you?
No.
So,
I wouldn't presume that.
Well, but if it took the AC, well, okay. So you don't think? So it could have been just parents complaining then.
Well, it could have been a student. It could have been one student.
Yeah.
but this could have taken place over 20 years.
Right.
Like, I don't know. You're presuming that everyone who got biggest booty or biggest boobs or whatever didn't have fun with it.
No, you're right. I'm just trying to figure out why they would make such a big deal out of it and say we don't want to do this anymore. And it would make sense to me that the person who keeps getting the award, that keeps getting embarrassed, would probably not want to be part of it.
4 people complain. I don't know if you keep. I don't know how this works. I don't know any of the official particulars. I don't know how many years it went on. I don't know how many times I did it. 4 people complained. I'm assuming we live in a world where everyone's going to complain about everything and nothing can be done anymore. This falls under the heading of more just sort of whatever from high school. It's not all, by the way, it's not all like, sometimes there is that stuff. Like there's like, I was embarrassed, or I didn't like this, or I didn't appreciate that. People, they used to put dunce caps on people. Yeah. They used to tell you sit in the corner and face in the corner. Look, we had a ranking. I just looked at my ranking. I came in 497 out of 570, my graduating class. I don't like that. I don't like that ranking. I don't like that they have that. I don't like that at a 1.7 GPA. Like, it was embarrassing to me.
Right.
Like, they should do away with the ranking. They should do away with a lot of stuff. But there's also part of life where you go, yeah, it's a funny story, and also I overcame. Well,
and then you think back in when we were high school, I'm sure we were humiliated, multiple times for multiple reasons.
Not me.
Did you ever think to give the ACLU a call?
If I knew that was an option, I would have thought about it when I won Best Hair my senior year.
They had the String Bean Award, and the ditziest girl as well. Well, all right. Well, maybe they make a point. Yeah, we did have. You had best.
Oh, we got best hair,
best body, best. Well, you got best hair. We got best hair to make fun of you.
Right. Yeah, we had. See,
that's cruel.
That's funny.
And look at Brian.
What was actually thinking about it kind of cruel. It was a tradition, I guess, but it's kind of cruel. Was we had someone got the most and the least, and it was always the biggest guy, like the fattest, and the smallest dude, like just most petite dude. And it was this, and the picture is the big heavy guy holding the little guy over his head.
How about we just had
the most and the least?
We just had best looking too. That person looks the best, which made all of us. I'd like to think I podiumed, but
tied for second
with the rest of the
500 weight tied for second.
All right, let's bring it home.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news. Big booty and big boobies.
Gina. That was the news with Gina Grad.